By the time my wife raised her glass that night, I already knew something was wrong with us. Not wrong like a cracked plate you can glue back together. Wrong like a building with a rotten foundation that still looks perfect from across the street. Her name is Emma. We'd been married for 6 years, together for 9. When we met, she was the kind of girl who rolled her eyes at dating apps and said things like, "If you need a label for everything, you probably don't even know what you want." Back then, I thought that made her mysterious, free-spirited, deep. Now, sitting in our own living room, watching her perform for our friends like she was on stage, I realized it also made her dangerous. It started long before that party, of course. A few months earlier, I came home from work and found her on the couch, laptop open, eyes shining with that specific light she got when she'd discovered a new philosophy she could wear like a new outfit. "Babe, listen to this," she said without looking up. "It's about ethical non-monogamy. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from." I kicked off my shoes. "Ethical what?" She smirked. "Ethical non-monogamy. Open relationships," she clarified, like I was slow. "People who are honest about having more than one partner. No cheating, no lying, just freedom, but with rules." She spun the laptop around so I could see. There was an article open, then another tab with a podcast, another with a TikTok video frozen on a girl with pastel hair talking about liberation from traditional relationship structures. I dropped my keys in the bowl by the door and sat down beside her. "Why are you reading this?" I asked carefully. She shrugged, casual. "It's all over my For You page," she said. "Everyone's talking about it. I just think it's interesting." "Interesting how?" I persisted. She sighed and shut the laptop a little harder than necessary. "Do you have to interrogate everything I look at?" she asked. "I can't just read about something without wanting to join a cult." "It's not a cult I'm worried about," I said. "It's us." She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, relax," she said. "I'm not saying I want to go on Tinder and sleep with the entire city. I'm just thinking, questioning. We've been together almost a decade, Alex. Don't you ever wonder if, I don't know, this is really it? One person forever?" I looked at her. Her hair was tied in a messy bun, and she was wearing my old t-shirt. To me, she looked like home. "Yeah," I said softly. "I wonder. And every time I do, I land on the same answer." "Which is?" she asked. "That I chose you," I said, "and I'm still choosing you." For a second, something softened in her eyes. Then she shrugged it off. "See, that's sweet," she said. "But it's also a little naive. People change. Needs change. Monogamy is just a social construct anyway. It's not biologically natural." "You got that from TikTok too?" I asked. She gave me a playful shove. "I got it from everywhere," she said. "Podcasts, books, real people. Maybe you should try listening to something other than your sports shows." "The game is on twice a week," I said dryly. "Revolutionizing your entire view of commitment every 48 hours is not the same as watching a match." She smiled, but there was an edge to it. "You're joking now," she said, "but at some point, we need to talk about this like adults. We're stuck, Alex. We barely even touch each other anymore." That stung. "It's not like you've been tripping over yourself to kiss me either," I said. She stared at me, and for a moment, the air between us turned sharp. Then she leaned back and crossed her arms. "Exactly," she said. "Which is why maybe traditional monogamy isn't working for us. Or," I countered, "maybe we're just both tired and resentful and dealing with stuff we never talk about, and it's easier to blame monogamy than admit we've been lazy." Her face hardened. "So now I'm lazy," she said. "That's not what I—" She stood up. "No, it's fine," she cut me off. "Just forget it. I shouldn't have brought it up." She grabbed her laptop and went to the bedroom, leaving the faint smell of her perfume hanging in the air. The first time she mentioned open relationships, I thought it was a phase, like her gluten-free phase. Or the month she identified as a minimalist and threw away half our kitchen equipment before deciding she missed having a blender. I was wrong. It wasn't a phase. It was a door she had started to open in her mind. 2 months later, the door was wide open. She started dropping comments more often. At a cafe with friends, when someone mentioned a cheating scandal, she said, "Honestly, I'd rather my partner told me he wanted to sleep with someone else than sneak around. Monogamy is so outdated." At home, she'd say things like, "If we were open, we wouldn't have to pretend we never find other people attractive." "We already don't pretend," I said once. "We just don't act on it." "Maybe we should," she murmured. The first time she used the word we, I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Then she told me about Serena. Serena was the friend in our group who always arrived late, always dressed like she was walking out of a magazine. Dark hair, red lips, heels that made her the exact height she wanted to be. She'd been around since our early 20s. We'd done double dates when she was with her ex, Lucas. After they broke up, she kept coming to game nights, dinners, beach trips. She was fun, flirty with everyone, the kind of woman who made jokes that hovered right at the edge of inappropriate and then laughed them away. One Sunday, Emma mentioned she'd had a really deep talk with Serena over wine. "She's so open-minded," Emma said. "She was telling me about these couples she knows who have open marriages and are happier than ever. No more lying, no more jealous drama, just honesty." "Uh-huh," I said, chopping vegetables. "She said something that really stuck with me," Emma went on. "She said, 'Love is not a prison, babe. If you need bars to keep someone from leaving, they were never yours.'" I put the knife down and looked at her. "That's a nice Instagram quote," I said. "But we're not talking about prison. We're talking about boundaries. They're not the same thing." "You're defending something you've never even tried," she said. "Isn't that a little closed-minded?" "Do I need to try jumping off a bridge to know I'm not into it?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "You're being dramatic," she said. "We should at least consider it, jointly, as adults, not as jealous teenagers." "And what exactly are we considering?" I asked. "You going on dates? Me going on dates? Both? Rules? Boundaries? Or is this just about you wanting to feel like you could if you wanted to?" She hesitated just a fraction too long. "I just don't want us to wake up at 40 and realize we resented each other for all the things we never got to do," she said. "That's all." I wanted to say, "I resent you now for all the things you're saying," but I didn't. Instead, I said, "We can talk, but talking and announcing to your friends that we're open now are two different things." She gave me a quick, too bright smile. "Of course," she said. "We'll talk first." We didn't. Not properly. She kept pushing little bits. I kept resisting. We kept circling the same arguments until we were both exhausted, and then we'd drop it. Our sex life, already limping, turned into a ghost we both pretended to see. We sat on opposite ends of the couch watching shows about other people's drama while ours grew like mold in the corners we never cleaned. So when she decided to make that toast at our dinner party, I shouldn't have been surprised. But I was. There were 8 of us that night. Me and Emma, our friends Mark and Sarah, 2 co-workers of mine, one of Emma's colleagues from her marketing firm, and Serena. Of course, Serena. The dining table was crowded with plates and bottles, candles burned low, music hummed softly from a speaker in the corner. It was one of those evenings that started loud and fun, jokes about work, stories from university days, wine poured a little too generously. I watched Emma from across the table. She was in her element, laughing, telling stories, always with a hand gesture to punctuate her sentences. She had dressed up more than usual for a dinner at home. Red dress, hair straightened, lips painted the same shade. Serena sat to her right. She was wearing black, simple but devastating. Her hair was down, curls framing her face. When she laughed, she leaned in, touching Emma's arm. They whispered things to each other between conversations. Every time Serena tilted her head back laughing, my eyes drifted there before I forced them away. I loved my wife, but I wasn't blind. At some point, Mark started talking about a friend of his who'd been caught cheating. His wife found the messages, Mark said, shaking his head. Whole double life, dating apps, hookups. It was insane. Now they're in counseling. I don't know how you come back from that. You don't, Sarah said flatly. You leave. Well, some people don't believe in monogamy anymore, my coworker Ben chimed in. I was listening to this podcast the other day about open relationships. Sounded interesting. Emma glanced at Serena, a flash of excitement in her eyes. See? She said. It's not just me. The world is changing. Is it? Sarah asked, suspicious. Or is everyone just trying to cover up old-fashioned cheating with new fancy words? It's not cheating if it's honest and consensual, Serena said smoothly. That's the whole point. You can't own a person forever. That's creepy. You own a phone, not a person, Emma added. Exactly. Ben shrugged. I don't know, he said. It sounded kind of freeing. Until someone catches feelings and everything blows up, Sarah muttered. Feelings can blow up in monogamy too, Emma shot back. At least this way, you don't pretend attraction disappears just because you signed some papers. The table buzzed with opinions, voices overlapped, wine glasses clinked. I mostly listened. I'd learned that if I tried to argue with Emma about this in public, we'd just end up fighting later in private about how I embarrassed her. So I sat there, chewing my food, feeling like I was watching a movie I hadn't bought tickets for. Then Emma did something she hadn't done before. She stood up. She picked up her wine glass and tapped it gently with a fork. Okay, everyone, she said, smiling. Serious moment. The room quieted, half-drunk eyes turning to her. My stomach tightened. If she announces she's pregnant, I thought absurdly, I am going to pass out. She looked around, theatrical. As you all know, she began, Alex and I have been together forever. Too long, Serena teased. Everyone laughed. Emma laughed too. And we love each other very much, she continued, but we're also not scared of being honest about what we want and who we are. We've been talking a lot about this lately, and we've decided. She raised her glass a little higher. We're officially open now. It took a second for the words to land. At first, people smiled, thinking it was another one of her jokes. Then they realized she wasn't laughing. The table went quiet. I felt everyone's eyes slide to me. My ears rang. We're officially open now. She hadn't discussed anything. No rules, no agreements, no consent. She had just announced it, like a product launch. I stared at her. She looked back at me with a fixed smile, eyes bright and challenging. Well, her look said, say something supportive. Be the cool husband. I could have laughed it off. I could have said, ignore her, she's on her third glass. I could have taken her aside and hissed, what the hell are you doing? Instead, something inside me went very, very calm. Like a glassy lake after a storm. I raised my glass too. If that's what you want, I said quietly, but clearly enough for everyone to hear. Her smile faltered a fraction, then steadied. Yes, she said, that's what we want. We, like we had agreed. I put my glass down and turned my head slowly. Serena was sitting right next to Emma, elbows on the table, chin resting on her hand. She'd been watching the whole thing with a small, amused smile, as if she were at the theater. Her eyes met mine. There was curiosity there. And something else. A spark. Before I could second-guess myself, before I could think about consequences, years, vows, anything, I opened my mouth. Serena, I said, what are you doing this weekend? Her eyebrows shot up. Emma's head snapped toward me. What? Serena asked, playing dumb. I'm asking if you'd like to go away with me this weekend, I said. Just the two of us, somewhere by the coast. There's a little hotel I've been wanting to check out. The room froze. Cutlery hung in the air. Ben almost dropped his fork. Mark's mouth fell open. Emma went white. Serena blinked once. Then her lips curled into a slow, delighted smile. Wow, she said softly. He doesn't waste time. Wait, Alex. Emma started, voice sharp. Serena leaned in closer, her shoulder almost brushing Emma's. She kept her eyes locked on mine, but her words were for everyone. Trust me, she said, smirking. I'm better than her at everything. Someone choked on their drink. Emma's chair scraped loudly against the floor. Her confidence, so solid, so rehearsed, cracked right there in front of everyone. I watched the shock spread across her face like a stain. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. Are you out of your mind? She demanded finally, looking at me. I tilted my head. I thought we were officially open, I said. You just told our friends. I'm simply acting like it. I didn't mean, she stammered. Not like this, not with... Oh, Serena cut in lightly. So some people are more open than others? No, that's not what I... Emma's voice shook. The silence around the table turned heavy and uncomfortable. Sarah cleared her throat. Maybe this is a conversation you guys should have in private, she said gently. Yes, Emma snapped. Yes, we will. She looked at me with a mix of fury and fear I'd never seen before. Alex, she said. Kitchen, now. I picked up my glass, took a slow sip, and stood. Excuse us, I said calmly to the table. Make yourselves at home. Then I followed my wife. As soon as we were in the kitchen, she rounded on me. What the hell was that? She hissed, keeping her voice low enough not to travel. I leaned against the counter. You tell me, I said. You stood up in our living room and announced to our friends that our marriage was open. I reacted to the news. You humiliated me, she snapped. You made me look ridiculous in front of everyone. You did that all by yourself, I said evenly. You didn't even talk to me before making that speech. You've been dropping hints for months, but we never actually agreed. You said, if that's what you want, she shot back. You literally just said that in front of them. What was I supposed to think? I said it because I was trying not to start a fight in front of our guests, I said, and because I'm tired of being the only one who cares about appearances. She threw her hands up. You are so dramatic, she said. I was making a statement. I was being brave. Brave? I repeated. No. Brave would have been sitting down with me and admitting that you're bored, that you've been fantasizing about other people, that you don't know how to fix us, and asking how I feel about that. This? I gestured toward the dining room. This was a performance. You wanted everyone to see how cool and progressive you are. You didn't expect me to actually participate. Her jaw clenched. You think I haven't been honest? She demanded. I've been talking about this for months. You've been shutting down every conversation. I've been shutting down the part where you treat our marriage like a TikTok trend, I said sharply. Not the part where I know we're not okay. You could have talked to me. You could have told me what you needed, she argued. You could have done the same, I shot back. Instead, you told the whole world we're open, so you could do whatever you wanted and still call it ethical. She winced. That's not fair, she said. What's not fair, I said quietly, is you wanting all the freedom and none of the consequences. She swallowed hard. And Serena? She asked. You chose her specifically to hurt me. No, I said. I chose her because she was right there, because she's exactly the kind of person you want validation from, because you kept saying we like it was a joint decision. I just showed you what your we actually looks like. Her eyes filled with tears. You can't actually be serious about going away with her, she whispered. For a second, I almost said, of course not. I'd never do that. Then I remembered every time she'd said, Love isn't a prison. And I don't want us to wake up resentful. And monogamy is just a social construct. I remembered lying awake at night, feeling like the less exciting option in my own marriage. I haven't decided yet, I said honestly. But for the first time in months, I feel like I'm allowed to decide something for myself. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. If you go, she said, voice low, it will destroy us. I held her gaze. You raised your glass tonight, I said. You made that choice long before I said a word. A tear slid down her cheek. She wiped it away angrily. You're cruel, she whispered. No, I said softly. Just finally listening to you. The door creaked. We turned. Serena stood there, leaning against the frame, arms crossed, watching us. Wow, she said lightly. This is better than reality TV. Emma's face flushed. Can you give us a minute? She snapped. No, I said quietly. Let her speak. She's part of this now, apparently. Serena raised an eyebrow. I don't need to be part of your marriage war, she said. I just came for dinner and free wine. You also just told my husband you're better than me at everything, Emma shot back. So forgive me if I'm not exactly thanking you. Serena shrugged. You opened that door, she said. Literally. We're officially open now. Your words, Em. If you can't handle the draft, don't open windows. This isn't a game, Emma said through gritted teeth. This is my marriage. And your husband, Serena said, nodding toward me, is clearly not okay. You wanted to play with fire. He lit a match. That's not my fault. I watched them go at it, feeling strangely detached. Serena, I said eventually, are you actually interested in going away with me, I mean? She turned to me, surprised by the direct question. For real? She asked. For real, I said. No games. She glanced at Emma, then back at me. Honestly? She said slowly. I'm interested in you, yes. I've always thought you're attractive, kind, underappreciated. Emma made a strangled noise. But, Serena added, I also know you're hurt and angry, and I'm not going to be your revenge weapon. If we go somewhere, it's not so you can punish her through me. It's because you actually want to spend time with me. Her bluntness cut through the fog in my head. I don't want to be anyone's punishment, Serena continued. I have my own issues. I don't need to borrow yours. Emma scoffed. This is unbelievable, she muttered. Serena ignored her. So? She asked me. Do you? Do I what? I asked. Want to spend time with me? She said simply. Not as a weapon, as a person. I thought about it. Not for long. Yes, I said. I do. Emma put a hand to her forehead like she was dizzy. You can't be serious, she whispered. Then I guess we're all finally being honest, Serena said with a small smile. Because I do too. She looked at me. I'm free this weekend, she said. You text me the details if you're still sure tomorrow. If you change your mind, don't. Ghost. Just tell me. I can handle no. She straightened up. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go help your guests pretend they didn't just hear the prelude to a divorce. She walked out, leaving a faint trail of perfume. Emma sank into a chair. Please don't do this, she said quietly, all the fight gone from her voice. Alex, please. This, I said, is exactly what you said you wanted. Openness, choices, no prison. I wanted it in theory, she whispered. Not like this. Not with you, actually. With her. I nodded slowly. That's the problem with theories, I said. Reality ruins them. I left her there and went back to the dining room. The rest of the evening was a strange, awkward blur. People made small talk. Mark and Ben talked about sports. Sarah kept shooting me sharp looks. Emma stayed quiet, forcing smiles. Serena acted like nothing unusual had happened, asking my coworker about his latest project and laughing at Sarah's jokes. When everyone finally left, the apartment felt heavy and echoing. Emma and I didn't speak. She went to bed first, sliding under the sheets with her back turned to me. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, my phone on my chest. A message from Serena lit the screen. Serena, you okay? I typed back. Me. No idea. You? She answered almost immediately. Serena. Honestly, a little thrilled, a little guilty, a little scared. Also, that was the most entertaining dinner I've ever been to. I snorted softly. Me. You're impossible. Serena. You like that about me? I stared at the blinking cursor. Then I typed, me. Do you still mean it? About this weekend? There was a longer pause this time. Serena. Yeah. But only if you're not doing it just to hurt her. I don't mind being the consequence of her choices. I refuse to be the weapon. I thought of Emma in the bedroom, curled up, probably scrolling through the same accounts that told her monogamy is just a construct. Me. It's not about hurting her. It's about remembering I exist too. Serena. Then yes, I mean it. Pick me up Friday after work? I stared at those words for a long time. Then I typed, me. Okay. I put the phone down and closed my eyes. For the first time in months, I wasn't just reacting to Emma's ideas. I was making my own choice. It terrified me. The days between the dinner and Friday felt stretched and warped. Emma alternated between icy silence and sudden bursts of pleading. One morning she followed me into the bathroom while I was brushing my teeth. You're really going to do this, she said, leaning against the doorframe. I spit out foam and rinsed my mouth. I told her I would, I said. I'm not going to lie like a teenager sneaking out. Her eyes were red-rimmed. You're my husband, she said. Serena is supposed to be my friend. She still is, I said. Just also a person who gave you exactly what you said you wanted. Honesty, no cheating. This isn't what I wanted, she whispered. I wanted us to explore things together. I wanted excitement, new energy, not you leaving for a weekend with someone else. And if I had said I wanted to go on a date, I asked, with anyone else, ever, would you have really been okay with that? Or did you only imagine yourself doing it while I stayed home being supportive? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I don't know, she said finally. Maybe, probably. I just didn't think. I laughed once, hollow. No, I said. You thought plenty. You just never thought it would hurt you. She flinched. You're enjoying this, she accused. No, I said. I'm not. I hate it, but I hate pretending we're fine even more. She looked at my reflection in the mirror. If you go, she said, I don't know if I'll be here when you get back. I met her eyes in the glass. I hope you will be, I said honestly, so we can decide what's next with clear heads, not in the middle of a war, but I'm not going to stay because you threatened to leave. She wiped her eyes angrily and walked out. My hands shook as I put my toothbrush away. None of this felt good, but it did feel real. Friday evening, I picked Serena up from her apartment. She came down with a small overnight bag, wearing jeans and a leather jacket. Wow, she said, getting into the car. You actually showed up. Did you think I wouldn't? I asked. She buckled her seatbelt. I thought you might chicken out, she said, or decide to be the bigger person and stay home. Maybe I'm tired of always being the bigger person, I said. She studied me for a second. You look different, she said. Older? More pathetic? I asked. She smiled slightly. More awake, she said. We drove toward the coast. The hotel I'd booked was a small place on a cliff, nothing fancy, just a view of the ocean and a restaurant with decent reviews. For the first 30 minutes, we talked about neutral things, work, traffic, the playlist. Then Serena turned down the music a little. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure, I replied. You and Emma, she said. Before all the open relationship stuff, were you happy? The question sat between us like fog. I thought we were, I said slowly. Or at least I thought we were normal. Not perfect, not miserable, just regular married people with ups and downs. We laughed, we fought, we made up. Then somewhere along the line, we stopped doing the last part. Stopped making up? She clarified. Stopped really talking, I said. We started talking at each other. Then she found 1,000 people online who agreed with her that monogamy is the enemy, and I became the boring conservative husband standing in the way of her enlightenment. She does love an ideology, Serena said dryly. Last year it was astrology. Before that it was clean eating. If you don't juice kale, you hate your body. I smiled despite myself. Exactly, I said. The difference is that this time the new concept isn't just about her. It's about us, me, our vows, our life. She was quiet for a moment. Do you still love her? She asked. I gripped the steering wheel a bit tighter. Yes, I said. And I'm angry, and I'm hurt, and I don't trust her. Love doesn't vanish when someone disappoints you. It just changes shape. She nodded slowly. Good answer, she said. What about you? I asked. You and Lucas, were you ever happy? She laughed without humor. Lucas loved the idea of me, she said. The hot girlfriend, the fun one at parties. He didn't love the actual human who cries when she's overwhelmed and has anxiety and sometimes wants to stay in and read. When things got real, he ran. So now I'm trying something different. Dating your friend's husband? I asked, half joking, half serious. She shot me a look. First of all, your wife volunteered me, she said. She dragged our friendship into the realm of ideas long before I said a word. Second, I'm not dating you. We're going away for a weekend to see what this even is. And what is it? I asked softly. She exhaled. A test? She said. For her, for you, for me, for all the pretty theories we talk about while drunk over wine, to see if they survive contact with real feelings. That sounds dangerous, I said. She smirked. That's why it's interesting, she replied. The hotel turned out to be nicer than its website. Warm lobby, friendly staff, a room with a balcony overlooking the sea. When the door closed behind us, the air between us shifted. This was no longer just a car ride with pointed conversations. This was a man and a woman in a hotel room, with a bed and a choice. Serena dropped her bag on the chair and turned to face me. So, she said, ground rules. I raised an eyebrow. Ground rules? I repeated. You sound like Emma. She doesn't own the concept of rules, Serena said. I don't sleep with married men who are lying to their wives. You're not lying. But I need to know you're not going to freak out mid-kiss and start sobbing about your wedding day. Brutal, I said. Honest, she corrected. I sat down on the edge of the bed. Okay, I said. Ground rule number 1. If at any point I feel like I'm using you to hurt her, I stop, and I tell you, even if it's halfway through a kiss, no ghosting, no disappearing. Good, she said. Ground rule number 2. If at any point I feel like this is destroying your ability to think clearly about your marriage, I stop. I'm not taking responsibility for your choices, but I'm also not going to be the hand grenade pulled in the middle of your living room. Agreed, I said. Ground rule number 3, she added. We talk, before, during, after. I am not a distraction. I am a person. I nodded. Ground rule number 4, I said. We order room service, because I'm starving. She burst out laughing. The tension eased. We ordered food. We ate on the balcony watching the sky turn pink over the water. We talked, really talked, about Emma, about the way our group had always revolved around her big personality, about how easy it was for everyone to forget that she wasn't the only one with feelings. You know, she told me once that you'd forgive anything, Serena said, sipping her wine. She said, Alex is loyal to a fault. I could disappear for a month and he'd still be there when I come back. I swallowed. Did she? I said. Yeah, Serena replied. I remember thinking that sounded less like a compliment and more like a warning, like she thought you'd never leave no matter what. Maybe she was right, I said quietly. Until now. Serena looked at me for a long moment. You're not doing this to leave, she said softly. You're doing this because staying has become unbearable. Is there a difference? I asked. She nodded. One is running away, she said. The other is reaching for something you need, even if you don't know exactly what it is. I set my glass down. Tonight, I said slowly, I'm reaching for you. She drew in a sharp breath. Okay, she murmured. When we finally kissed, it wasn't dramatic or violent. It was slow, hesitant. Her lips were warm. Her hand on my cheek was gentle. I waited for guilt to crash over me like a wave. It didn't. What I felt instead was grief. Grief for every time I'd tried to pull Emma close and felt her body tense. For every night I'd lain awake wondering why I wasn't enough. For every conversation we hadn't had. Serena pulled back a little, searching my face. You're not here with her in your head, are you? She asked quietly. I'm here, I said. With you, and with me, and with the version of me that forgot he was allowed to be wanted. Her eyes softened. Good, she whispered. We didn't rush. We talked between kisses, about fears, about boundaries, about the fact that whatever happened this weekend, Monday would still exist. We didn't pretend it was pure or simple or consequence-free. It wasn't. But it was honest. And that, ironically, was more than I could say for my monogamous marriage in the months before. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight on my face and the sound of waves. Serena was sitting up in bed, hair messy, scrolling through her phone. She glanced at me. You're trending, she said lightly. What? I groaned. No, absolutely not. I did not sign any release forms. She tossed her phone onto the bed. Relax, she said. You're not literally trending, but your wife did post something, and people are already texting me about it. My stomach sank. What did she post? I asked. Serena grabbed the phone again and showed me Emma's latest Instagram story, a picture of our empty bedroom, my side of the wardrobe open. Over it text in white letters. Some men will throw away a whole marriage for a weekend of validation. Remember that, ladies. Underneath, know your worth. Healing. I closed my eyes. Of course, I muttered. Public opinion court. There's more, Serena said quietly. Another slide. A selfie of Emma, eyes red, staring into the camera with dramatic sadness. Text. When you open your heart, not everyone deserves a key. Some people just want to break things. I laughed once, bitter. She didn't mention that she kicked the door open herself, I said. Serena set the phone aside. You can't control her narrative, she said. You never could. You can only control yours. I don't have a narrative, I said. I have a mess. Everyone's narrative is a mess, she replied. Some people just put filters on it. We spent the day walking along the shore, talking about everything except Emma's stories. In the evening, though, I couldn't avoid it anymore. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Mark, Sarah, my sister, even my mother, who lived 2 states away. Mom, Emma called me. What is going on? Please call. I sighed. She's mobilized the troops, I told Serena. Of course she has, Serena said. She's good at that. She hates being the villain in any story. She'll cast herself as the wounded hero every time. Maybe I am the villain, I said. Serena looked at me firmly. You're a man who finally stopped letting his life be decided by someone else's opinion of what's progressive, she said. That doesn't make you a saint. It doesn't make you a monster either. That night, after Serena fell asleep, I stepped out onto the balcony and called my mother. She picked up on the second ring. Alex, she said, voice tight. What is this I'm seeing? Emma called me crying. She posted those quotes. Are you having an affair? I closed my eyes for a second. I'm away for the weekend, I said. With someone. Yes, it's not secret. Emma knows where I am. She told the world we have an open marriage, Mom. An open… what? My mother sputtered. She said that? At a dinner, I said. In front of our friends. She decided it. She didn't talk to me. She just declared it. I finally believed her. There was a pause. I knew something was off, my mother said quietly. Last time you visited, she spent the whole meal talking about modern love like she was giving a TED talk. You barely said a word. I leaned against the railing. Why didn't you say anything? I asked. Because you're an adult, she said gently. I thought you saw what I saw. And I thought, maybe you were okay with it. People do all sorts of strange things now. I didn't want to judge. I'm not okay with it, I said. My voice broke a little. I haven't been okay for a long time. She sighed. You should come home for a few days after this weekend, she said. Not to hide, just to breathe. I don't know where home is anymore, I said. Home is where you are loved without needing to perform, she said quietly. Whether that's with me, with your friends, with whoever, but it has to include yourself. I swallowed. Thanks, Mom, I murmured. And Alex? She added. Yeah? Whatever happens with Emma, she said, don't let her convince you that this is only your fault. A marriage breaks from both sides, even if one side posts better quotes about it. When Serena and I drove back on Sunday, the energy between us had shifted again. We weren't just playing with fire anymore. We were walking back into the house we had set alight, aware that the neighbors were watching. As I pulled into my street, Serena looked over at me. So, she said. Next chapter? I have no idea, I admitted. I meant for you, she said. Not us. I glanced at her. And us? I asked. She smiled faintly. We'll see, she said. I like you, Alex. I'm not going to pretend I don't. But I'm also not going to build a fantasy future on the rubble of your marriage. First, you figure out who you are when you're not Emma's husband. Then, we'll see if there's still room for me in that picture. Fair. I parked outside our building and turned off the engine. I should go up alone, I said. Whatever happens, it's between me and her. She nodded. Text me, she said. Not about the drama, about how you are, okay? Okay, I said. I hesitated, then leaned over and kissed her once, softly. Thank you, I murmured. For what? She asked. For being real, I said. Even when it would have been easier to just be chaos. She laughed softly. Believe me, I've been chaos enough times, she said. This is more interesting. I got out of the car and walked toward the entrance. My hands were sweating. I didn't know if I'd find my wife packing, crying, or posting. I opened the door. She was sitting at the dining table, laptop open, a blank document on the screen. Her eyes flicked up to me. You're back, she said. I said I would be, I replied. We stared at each other across the same table where she'd raised her glass a few nights ago and declared our marriage open. Her hair was up in a messy bun. She was wearing an oversized hoodie. She looked small in the big chair. I unfollowed Serena, she said abruptly. Not that it matters. Everyone's already chosen sides. I didn't realize it was a war, I said. Everything with people is a war, she said bitterly. They just pretend it's not. I took a breath. We have to talk, I said. We keep saying that and then we shout, she replied. Then let's not shout, I said. Let's try something different, like the truth, all of it, not just the parts that make us look good. She shut the laptop. Fine, she said. You go first. I sat down. I love you, I said. And I don't trust you. And I feel humiliated. Not because I went away with Serena, but because I had to do something that extreme to make you take my pain seriously. Her eyes filled again. You think I didn't? She asked. Take it seriously? You thought you were the only one hurting, I said. You were so busy trying to be the brave modern woman who doesn't believe in monogamy, that you didn't notice you were tearing up the one person who still believed in us." She wiped her cheek. "You make it sound like I'm a villain," she whispered. "You're not," I said. "You're just selfish and afraid and constantly chasing a version of yourself you saw on someone's feed. And I enabled that by never telling you no, by letting you think I'd forgive anything." She swallowed. "And Serena?" she asked. "Do you love her now too?" I shook my head. "No," I said. "I barely know her. I care about her. I like her. I'm attracted to her. But what happened this weekend wasn't about falling in love. It was about me stepping out of the role you wrote for me without asking if I liked it." Her face twisted. "I feel like I'm losing everything," she said. "My marriage, my friend, my identity. I wanted to be the strong, enlightened one, and now I just feel like a fool." I leaned forward. "Then maybe this is the first honest moment we've had in months," I said. "Because I felt like a fool for a long time." We sat in silence. "What do you want?" she asked finally. "Really, not what you think you're supposed to say, not what your mother wants, or your friends, or Instagram, you." I thought about it. "I want a relationship where my boundaries mean something," I said slowly. "Where we decide together actually means together. Where if we open something, we both know what that means and why. I don't know if that can still be with you." She flinched. "I want freedom," she said quietly. "Not to sleep with everyone. Just not to feel like my whole identity is wife. I wanted to feel desired, seen, alive. I thought opening our marriage would solve that. I was wrong. It just made everything louder." She looked at me, eyes raw. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered. "I don't want to lose myself," I replied. That was the truth neither of us could unhear. We talked for hours, about therapy, about taking a break, about rules we wished we'd set before any of this happened. In the end, we didn't scream. We didn't throw plates. We didn't make grand promises. We made one simple decision. We needed space, not open relationship space, real space. She would stay at a friend's for a while. I would stay in the apartment. We'd both go to individual therapy. Maybe later, couples counseling, if it made sense. We wouldn't post about it. We wouldn't turn it into content. For once, our life would be something we lived offline. Weeks passed. People lost interest in Emma's stories. New dramas replaced ours in their feeds. I went to therapy and said, "My wife announced we were open without asking me, and I called her bluff, and now I don't know who I am." The therapist nodded and said, "Let's start there." I saw Miguel less, my mother more. I texted Serena sometimes. We grabbed coffee once. "We're okay?" I asked her. She smiled faintly. "We're not enemies," she said. "We're also not a couple, not right now, maybe not ever. But I don't regret what happened. It exposed something that needed to be seen." "Emma hates you," I said. "She'll get over it," Serena said. "Or she won't. That's her story. I'm writing mine." "What's yours?" I asked. She looked at me. "Not being the side character in someone else's self-discovery arc," she said. "Even if I make spectacular entrances." I laughed. Months later, when people asked what happened to my marriage, I never said, "She ruined it," or "I ruined it." I said, "We both did, in different ways." At that party, when she raised her glass and announced, "We're officially open now," she thought she was taking control of the narrative. She didn't expect me to say, "As you wish," and actually walk through the door she'd flung open. Her confidence cracked that night, because for the first time her own rules applied to her. It hurt. It broke things. It changed us. I don't know yet if Emma and I will find our way back to each other as partners, or just as two people who once shared a life and now share a complicated history. What I do know is this. If someone announces your relationship status to the world without your genuine consent, You are allowed to respond. You are allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to say, if that's what you want, and then show them what it actually looks like. When my wife went pale at that table, as the room fell silent, and her friend smirked and said, "Trust me, I'm better than her at everything," I realized something I should have understood a long time ago. You can't demand freedom only for yourself and expect the person you're with to stay caged. If you fling the doors open and declare, "We're open now," you'd better be ready for what walks out.